again, Adam Hood. How you been?
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How
Are
how
you?
uh how have you been since the last time I talked to you?
I've been pretty good. I got no complaints. Staying about as busy as I can. Are you enjoying these?
Oh, doing the podcast,
Mm.
especially with the video. Yeah, the video makes it a lot easier not to step on somebody. It helps
Yeah,
a lot when you see the mouth close. Like,
it is. It's nice to be able to communicate and look at somebody's face, huh?
yeah, and it's
Yeah,
cool to
it's pretty
see
funny.
people that like I know. It just
Yeah,
yeah, like I did one with Taylor, and it was cool
I
to see
saw
her
that.
again.
Yeah, it looked great too. The conversation was good and everything too. So, yeah,
Yeah,
you pay attention to a lot of music, man. I got to give it to you. I don't see how you absorb so much music.
it's really hard, and it's still funny. Talbot was live doing the pre-show for this, playing your
Mhm.
music, and I jumped on live, and I'm like, "There's another Adam Hood song that I have not heard." I'm like,
Wow.
"Man," and then I was gonna do another Adam Hood song, and what came up was you and Brent Cobb along with Muscadine Bloodline. I think it was like burning at both ends.
Yeah, it was that song is called Good Chunk of Change. Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's still probably, like when I go, I can go into my iTunes and kind of look at my top songs and stuff. I mean, that song's that just goes to show you how much volume those guys are listened to. Like that song is the top song of any song that I have, and it's just I was just featured on just featured on one of their albums.
Yeah,
So it's crazy. Just for a song I sang a verse on. I mean, Aaron Ritchie wrote it, but Brent and I sang on it. So
yeah. Like if you go on like more info on the iTunes store, it shows
mm.
popularity in the graph, and that is definitely your most popular.
I mean, it's crazy, man. I mean,
Wow.
it's like I said, it's a testament to how many people listen to Muscadine Bloodline stuff. So good for them.
Yeah. Now there was kind of like a little bit of controversy for them jumping on the Post Malone tour.
You think?
It, I was on a couple of the forums, and a lot of people are like, "Man, I had hotel rooms for this weekend," and I get that. Just
Hmm.
if the next in the next 2 days, your whole plans to travel have been, but at the same time, like I was talking with Taylor, like you just can't be the band that says no to something like that.
Oh yeah. Oh, you mean talking about them having to cancel shows and stuff like that?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
canceled 2 months of their tour, but as they put it, I'll surmise what I remember. They said, "Yeah, that's like a guy in the minors, uh, batting around in the minors for almost a decade and getting the call up to the majors to be like, it's just not the right time."
Yeah, man. I mean, I feel like if you really appreciate their music, surely you'll understand exactly what's going on and encourage them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, how much is it really out of your pocket? You know what I mean? I mean, go see another band that you've never heard before or something like that. But I mean, I know that's probably scary to cancel shows like that, but at the same time, man, what an opportunity. Good for them. I mean, that's by far that's huge. That's huge exposure.
yeah,
Huge.
absolutely. My boss actually went to one of the shows, and he said it was like the best concert he's ever been to. And he was like, "You really know those guys?" He goes, "They were
Yeah.
fantastic." And I was like, "Yeah, they were at Mile Zero. They were staying at the same hotel." And I saw them on their record release with Lance Rourke, and they were
That's
amazing.
cool.
They were same thing as I told Taylor. It was like the more and more I see people, and the more like I guess it's just the way of the road. Like you either get better or not.
Mm.
Like a lot of these artists I've seen from the years of doing this, it's just every time I see him, it just gets better and better, and that's awesome. And it's cool to see, especially at the Alabama is just churning out some great musicians.
It's really interesting, man, because I've seen I've seen other places become kind of uh, a hotbed, or just it's kind of a springboard for artistry. I've seen it, I've seen it in Georgia a lot with songwriters, and in Texas and the Carolinas and stuff. But like, it's been a long time since it's really kind of a bunch of people that I know from home are, are successful, and which is really great. Um, it's so funny that like it feels so much less like a movement now. You know what I mean? Because I mean, I feel like there was a time, well, when Wayne Mills was alive. I mean, that was what it was, man. I mean, he was the ambassador of Alabama music, and nobody was better at it than he was. You know what I mean? And so when he died, it kind of, I don't know. I think everybody just kind of spread off in their own thing, and so it's good to see people that are from here, and everybody's kind of doing their own thing separately, and it's successful, but still, um, we're kind of friends. You know what I mean? For lack of a better word, you know what I mean? Just there's business friendship and musical friendship there, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And the one thing I've noticed since I've been wearing Adam Hood merch, people come up to me, and the people that know who you are and know just how prolific you are in your songwriting and just how many artists you've written with, the people that know you that are your fans are they're just more knowledgeable in the business.
Really? Can you
Did I
hear
lose
me?
you?
Man, we're only 6 minutes now. Can you see me?
You still there? Hey man, I guess one of us lost
I know. Did I cut out? Well, I wonder what happened. Is my
yeah.
signal weak?
I can't tell. I don't know if it was me. But it's fine. We can just go right
Okay,
back.
let me change the area, see if this helps a little bit. Does that help at all?
Yeah,
Probably.
it says it's uploading, so that's cool. We probably
Okay.
didn't lose anything. But
Okay, cool. All right. Sorry about that. Now, what was your
no,
question again?
no, I was just saying what I've noticed since I've been wearing Adam Hood merch, I've been wearing your shirts, and the people that see it and they come up to me and they know of your music, they know how
Mm.
prolific you are with songwriting and how much you are involved in the scene. They seem to like really be knowledgeable in music, and I love that. And with that, do you feel like you wish that could transcend outside of someone like that to like an average music listener? You know what I mean? What I'm trying to say, like
Yeah, I think so. Go ahead.
the people in the scene, they understand just how good you are,
Mm.
and when people,
To get past the music world.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like that, if there's like
Um,
a dome or something that,
isn't it funny? It's really interesting that it's like that, because you know I feel like that there's a lot of support there. You know what I mean? Like, and same thing. I don't feel slighted, or I don't feel like that my career is not getting the the appreciation it deserves or anything like that. I don't feel shorted or anything like that. But at the same time, it's mainly the musical community that really is kind of the supportive system in my world. Now, um, I don't know that I do feel, it's okay with me, because honestly, I write in a way that's talking to myself, and so therefore I'm talking, the people that are going to relate to me are going to be people like me, and I mean, it's just it, and I don't want it to be anything where I alienate just your regular average everyday audience. You know what I mean? However, um, I know there's ways, I know there's context that I write about that probably isn't as applicable. You can't write songs about being on the road and expect for a housewife to love it. You know what I mean? And so, but that's okay. And at the same time, um, it's helping me to sort of refocus my attentions towards writing songs that a housewife would appreciate. And you know what I'm saying? Just to
yeah,
to to kind of say, okay, maybe you're narrowing your focus of your context too much. And I know that's just, you shouldn't think this much about songs probably, but I have to, and because I always have. You know what I mean? Like I I should be overthinking my stuff. I shouldn't just kind of half-ass it and set it and forget it. I mean, it's important to me. So, but I appreciate the fact that you say and thank you for wearing the shirts, by the way. I see you do it all the time, man. I really, I mean, that's what you need. Um, but anyway, I, I'm glad that people are knowledgeable. I don't know. I think people are smarter than anybody else gives them credit for. You know what I mean? it's a, you know, and but at the same time, that's nice. I don't know. They must know something I don't know. Smarter than me, huh?
Yeah, the last time it happened, I was having a conversation, and this guy came up and said, "Dude, cool shirt." And he was like, "Adam Hood's the real deal. I love that dude." And I was like, "Yeah, man, he's cool, man." I was like, I got to meet him, got to hang out with him, and I was like, "Yeah, it'd be really cool to like write a song with him." And like we had this whole conversation, and and he left, and
uh,
he got on the bus, and I was like, "Man, that dude was really cool. Who was that?" And they're like, "That's Wetzel's drummer." And I was like, I had no idea. I was like, "Oh man, I would have told him how good he did tonight." And like, here we
oh,
are
it's
talking
really
about
funny,
Adam Hood,
man.
and they're like, "Oh, we thought you knew. We
You
thought you
missed your
knew."
window, dude. You had such an opportunity.
Yeah, he
That's
was.
really funny.
Yeah, he was cool. He came right up to me. He was like, "Adam Hood, man, that's cool." And I was like, "Yeah," and that's happened. That's happened a lot. And it's just like when people ask, like, you don't need like a big platform to meet these people. It's like if you go to a
Yeah.
Muscat Diamond Line show, wear an Adam Hood shirt because they will definitely be like, "Dude, Adam Hood in Baltimore, who are you?" You know what I mean? Like, it of course, Taylor Honeycutt's gonna jump off stage and be like, "I need to know how you know." But
Well, and that's the thing. Taylor's one of those people that's kind of a little bit of an exception to the rule. You know what I mean? Like I've known her husband a long time, and I mean, I tell everybody this. Like her husband's dad owned the guitar shop that I took lessons from in seventh grade. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, known them a long time, and so there's a little bit tighter focus there. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's still small circles, man, and it's really nice. It's really flattering to be thought of like that. I mean, it's an understatement that it's flattering. It's almost one of those things to where I have to kind of figure out ways to navigate that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I mean, that's pretty high regard, and that's not always my intention. You know what I mean? Like, I really don't. My song is what goes first. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, it's not really me that does it. And so, because of that, because I'm such a believer in the song more than the artist, uh, I kind of don't know how to deal with that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But talking about songs, man, I can do that all day long. I can do it all day long.
yeah. I actually, it's funny is I I've been in some Nashville writing sessions, but I called my buddy and I was like, I want to write a song, and he was like, "Okay, what's it about?" And I was like, "It's about kind of about Adam Hood," and I'm pretty sure he doesn't know who you are, but he was like, "Okay, what's it about?" And I was like, "Oh, I'll just bring it up to Adam," and it's kind of like being like I love songs that have like a cinematic value to them, so I was like, why not write a
Mm,
song that's kind of like a short movie, and it's more or less like a singer songwriter being on the other side of a guitar. You write a song and someone hears you sing that song, they say, "Hey man, can I?" And they could be friends of yours. Be like, "Hey man, can I cut that song?" And you say,
mhm.
"Yeah, you can cut that song," and it does really well, and everything gets bigger for them and smaller for you. You know what I mean? And I wanted to really jump, like, to be on the other side of that path of, you're losing yourself and that song. Has that ever happened to you? Like, where you've been in the crowd, everyone's like, "Oh my god, I love this song," and you're like, "I wrote that," and they're like, you know, like,
I mean, I don't really know, and it hasn't happened all that much. Period. To be honest with you, and so I mean, well, we Musket Island was playing. They were at the beach a couple of years ago, and Brittany and I took the girls. And I mean, dude, okay, this is a great example. It's not people in the audience that you worry about. It's my children. Like, they were playing, and both of my daughters were like laying in our laps watching iPads, and I was like, "That's a song Daddy wrote," and like, you can obviously they're, the least concerned that, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I think Drew thinks it's cool. She's 8. And so like she's at a place to where like music is kind of starting to catch on, 86. And so she's, she likes what she likes, but it's a little bit more, she just doesn't, she hasn't started thinking about songs yet. You know what I mean? And Drew's kind of at that place. And so like it's becoming intriguing, but I mean, yeah, if anything builds me up, I have women in my life that'll keep me pretty level. But it really is interesting that you say that though, like you said, kind of having to give up the song. Um, I don't feel like it's gotten that way yet because for the most part, like the majority of the songs that I have had recorded by other artists are kind of songs that I've written with or for that artist. You know what I mean? Like I recorded Front Porch Thing, but at the same time, like it was, that record, the Shape of Things record was and the intention was to do that. It was, it was kind of for me to make a record. There were demos from my first publishing deal at Carnival Music. And so we just piled up demos and polished them up, mastered them differently, and made an album out of it. But like it was still sort of something that I wanted artists to put in their bus when they were driving around as much as I was for it to. I mean, I wanted anybody to hear it that would listen to it. But like I'm always open to anybody recording my songs, and I don't. I mean, I kind of feel like that once I turn them loose in the world, that they're kind of fair game. You know what I mean? Like you've already you've you've sent it out. You know what I mean? So you can't really be responsible for or have not necessarily be responsible or have an opinion. You can, but I mean, like I said, I try to make sure I serve the song better than the songwriter, and so that way by that happening, I don't take it personally. I don't feel like that's my song and you can't do it, So you know what I'm saying? So I try to take at least you know, a realistic attitude about it.
Yeah, that's just crazy that when you think about it. It's
It is
just,
crazy to think about.
like when you write something that could just change someone else's life, and it may not. I mean, obviously you'll make, you'll get the money every quarter, but
But I mean, the thing is, man, I don't even know what that's worth anymore. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I mean, I get mechanicals and they're okay. I mean, it's fine. Make a car payment or two or something like that. You know what I mean? But like, we're not getting rich. And I mean, I don't know that. I'm sure you can. You can get rich doing anything you want to if you're willing to do the things that are necessary to do it. And sometimes the things that are necessary to get rich in the music industry aren't things I'm interested in. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I mean, I just, whatever it may be, you know what I mean? I can maintain this, and that's about it, you know. But and still help some folks and still write with other people and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
yeah. That's true. You definitely sleep better at night knowing that you got to where you are by being a good person and not by chopping anybody down or anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope so. I mean, I hope so. I'm just as human as anybody else is. But or at the same time, like, I just there's also a part of me that people have asked why I don't produce more or why I don't invest in or participate in, other artists or younger artists. It's not that I don't, I do. I just don't do it all that much. Number one, because my time, I don't have enough time to maintain both and be of service to someone else. And number two, there's a part of me that says, well, has my method worked? You know what I mean? Has my model worked well enough and been successful enough to run someone else through that gauntlet? And I don't know, that's subjective. You know what I mean? Like to me, there's part of me that feels like, well, it has been for me, but I don't know if someone else wants this. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. This is my life. It's my path. And so if you want to be a star, I wouldn't follow my method. You know what I mean? This is a slow burn, and but it's what I wanted to do. This is where I want to be.
Yeah, a slow, controlled burn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the trade-off right now, and I feel like this more now than anything. The more that's yours, the better off you are. And I mean, I'm not stingy. I mean, I listen. If anybody wants to help, by all means, let's all do this together. But at the same time, like I do appreciate the fact that that it's all in house. My life is less complicated because of it, really. And that's really all it is. It's not a pride, or it's not this kind of attitude of being a maverick. It's just the fact that, like, the fewer the heads, the less more straightforward it seems to be.
Yeah, and the more you can be yourself, where
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't have to
that's right.
think
And
of what was.
there's no agenda, you know what I mean? Because I mean, this is it, man. I mean, I'm kind of past that point in my life to where I can play a part, or you know what I mean? Like, I heard Rodney Crowell talking about getting out of the music business. He said, he said, there was a time when I got out of the music business, meaning I quit worrying about what I'm wearing and stuff like that. And then that's Rodney Crowell. You know what I'm saying? Like, so even he felt that for a certain period of time, but then he quit feeling that way for a certain period of time too, though. So, and I think I'm somewhere in between. You know what I mean? Like, I still, I think we got, I think we got a long way to go. I think there's a lot of growing and a lot of learning that we could do, but at the same time, I feel like that that it's we're not going to fit into a mold. You know what I mean? This is going to be what it is.
So if you do hit like a big song, or even like the lottery, you're financially set. Would you stop writing songs, or this is just
I don't think I could.
this is just what
Yeah.
makes you?
And that's the thing. Yeah, I don't think I could. There's just it's just a it's a therapy, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a workout, or if you're a runner, it's like running. It's just one of those things to where it it, it takes a little initiative and it takes a little discipline to do it, but once you've finished it, you feel great. You know what I mean? And there's a bit of an addiction to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like I said, I feel like that it's the place it's the place where I concentrate my thoughts. You know what I mean? It's the place where I can think through my thought processes as well, and sort of, I mean, I was talking about this with a friend of mine today in a different interview, when we were talking about how the context of my music has evolved, and there's a whole lot more like God stuff. There's a whole lot more positive thinking kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And like that's definitely, it's not a conscious effort to put it in songs. It's just a conscious effort to continue those thoughts. You know what I mean? Because if I mean, you know, it's a good thing to be able to sing "Bad Days Better" when you're really having a bad day. You know what you know what I mean? And I mean, the place where I have, the places I don't want to be sometimes are on stage. You know what I mean? Just not really, not because I don't want to be on stage. It's just because sometimes, man, you just miss your family. Sometimes it was a long drive. Sometimes hell, sometimes you didn't get to take a shower yesterday, and so it's just these little things about being on the road that will. That sort of puts you in a little bit less of an entertainer's headspace. And so that's why I have songs like Bad Days Better to help me mentally. If I can sing it, if I can continue that thought, I can start to feel that way eventually. So, and that's what the songs do. And so I don't know that I could stop writing.
Yeah, that's cool. That it. I mean, you found something that helps you out, that you
Yeah.
love, and that can keep a roof over your head.
Because you're right. And I'm fortunate because it's not that easy for a lot of folks. You know what I mean? Like, it's, especially for guys, we just don't, we're not raised to the feelings thing. You know what I mean? Like, we're just, nobody tells you how to do that, and
Yeah.
nobody, and, you know, I don't know, maybe that's a little bit of a cop out or an old man's way of looking at it, but, you know, I mean, there's something to, I mean, there's science that's proven that that just 5 minutes worth of writing your thoughts down a day will really kind of help your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
just some people just don't. they don't have access to that information, and they really struggle with their head a lot, and I still struggle with my head a lot, but
Yeah.
I got some tools now, that certainly help out.
Yeah. Have you heard American Aquarium song Crier?
I don't think so.
Oh, because that's exactly what you're just talking about. When he talks to don't cry, rub some dirt in it, and it deals with that. It's a fantastic song. It's
Like being a guy from a guy's perspective about your emotions and stuff.
yeah, yeah. Like it's okay. It's okay to cry.
Huh.
It's okay to you know
Yeah.
you still be a man. And still, one thing I've always noticed is like when the guy's mad and he's got tears rolling down his eyes. That's a dude you don't want to mess with. You know, or someone that's not scared to show an emotion of sadness
Yeah.
in front of you. That's the same person that's not scared to show you a temper and the dark side of growing up in my family. I was just like, well, okay, well, this guy's really hysterical. And then you see him on the other end, you just, well, we're gonna find out how fast I can run. It's somebody not scared to share their emotion,
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting.
But also they say the quiet ones are the ones you got to worry about, and that's
That's
just
true. I've heard that too. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
tea
That's
kettle just.
funny. Yeah, that's right. They contain it until they can't be contained any longer. I do know those feelings.
So, has any like new artist like really like gave you advice, like a good
Advice?
yeah, like when they're like, hey Adam, and you're like, wow, has any of these the new kids on the block really had changed your perspective of anything, being as
I mean, I can't speak of a specific conversation where that's happened, but at the same time, as a whole, it's all kind of changed my perspective on it. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's just, you get to a point to where you realize like you can either stay involved, or you can uh, be haughty and prideful and let 10 years go by, and you're screwed. You know what I mean? Like, you're not involved in the current flow of things, and so I just don't want to be that way. And just because I don't feel like you have to, now granted, I feel like that because there's a part of my career, not just my life, there's certain part of my career that existed without me having to concern myself with things like social media. I think it's a bit of an adjustment, there's a learning process. But that's just, honestly, that's just for someone my age, as opposed to someone, I mean, even like, a little younger than my wife, some mid 30s, 20s to 30s, like who have kind of started life with iPhones and the internet and little things like that. You know what I mean? Like, I remember, I remember life before the internet,
yeah
and I had a career before the internet. So, you know what I mean? Like, so there's an adjustment there, but at the same time, um, I do, yeah. And dude, I see it work for other people. I see it. I mean, like, man, I mean, when Edie posted that thing about his picking style on TikTok, I thought, wow, good for you, dude, because it was really interesting. And it's the kind of thing that, like, I've known Jason 20 years, I mean, but, and I know the guy doesn't own a guitar pick. Like, he doesn't, like, I can't borrow a guitar pick from him. He doesn't own one, and that's weird to me. But I've never seen him or heard him explain how he plays. And it was interesting, but that's the thing. It's a matter of trying to figure out how to make it work for you. And it's just a tool, and it's a really useful tool. It's a really useful tool. I mean, you and I wouldn't have this conversation were it not for the modern day conveniences of social media.
yeah
And I mean, we wouldn't be able to have the relationship that we have, as far as, like, being I mean, man, being represented on your platform is really, really great. I mean, that helps me out. You know what I'm saying? Without me having to be there, standing next to you,
yeah
So I mean, it's I want to be able to use the tools that are available to me. As long as I'm creative, then I'm not going to get out of the way,
yeah it it's it is funny like social media is like the modern day flyering, but back he was
Yeah.
just walking through
It's
your
yeah.
town with a
There's your street team. That's right. The kids on the skateboards. That's right.
yeah,
They're all.
opening the trunk,
It's
hey,
true,
moving it
man.
by. Because
Yeah.
I think we're around the
That's
same
cool.
age, and we
Yeah.
had and it because like right before we did this, and I was like, I really wonder, like if they had the time machine and I went back to like 16-year-old me and I handed myself an Adam Hood song. I would
Yeah.
love to know what I would say because there's definitely a lot of stuff that like I love like Credence and
Hmm.
Leonard Skinner and all that, and a lot of it was like for like the sound because like
Yeah.
around like the 2000s, that's when when the auto tune came out, and we're like I don't know what it was like. You used to be able to
Mm.
turn on the radio, and as soon as you heard a guitar tone, you'd be like ACDC. Oh, that's Metallica.
Yeah.
That's that, and I missed that. Or you would know it was Pink Floyd, and then it got to like even music that I liked. It was like what happened to all like the cool like you can set your Marshalls in a different way and record in a different way, but you're still keeping true to that even in
Well,
2024, and I
but
love that.
thank you. And it's because I understand that those guys get their sounds. Uh, you know, ACDC sounds the way they do because of the artistry of Angus. You know what I mean? With same thing with Pink Floyd, like David Gilmour's tone, like that. His tones, the things that he did, came from his artistry more than they did. And granted, production is involved in a lot of the stuff. You know what I mean? But like those things weren't industry established. You know what I'm saying? And so that stuff was established because, and that's probably why it happened more, because there was no industry. There was industry, but you think about it, like you know copyright laws and things like that, they just weren't. It wasn't. It didn't have the dominance that it does now. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, there's a lot of people paying attention to a lot of things, and not to say that I'm trying to get away with anything, but at the same time, I mean, you just it's the, the freedom may not be there anymore. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
but that's not true. I mean, yeah, like you said, I mean, we're able to do it. I think Brent Cobb's doing it. I think, man, shoot, man, I hear songs all the time where I think, man, that's a pretty genuine way of saying that or doing that. You know what I mean? Like it still happens. It's just kind of where the music comes from.
yeah, that's like Jason Eady with Taylor Honeycutt, that Burn It Down, where
Yeah,
I did that, and I was like, man, I really love the analog feel, and he was like, dude, that's what we're going for, thank you.
yeah, man. I mean, he's great at it. Uh, he's great at it. He's had a model that has always worked for him, but I jokingly said the other day that like I could take his model and try to apply it to my career and fail miserably. You know what I mean? Like it's just never, what works for Jason never works for me, which is good though. It's probably why we're still friends. And so you know what I mean. And so but also I have an appreciation for his style. I can hear songs of his and be equally as blown away and compelled at the same time. You know what I mean? Like it just, he's a great writer, and he's somebody that, as much as I appreciate his friendship, I really enjoy his abilities. I think he's got great music. I think he's got
Yeah,
great music. I would think that if I didn't know it.
that's cool that you can have that relationship with somebody
It is. It is.
and not be intimidated by each other, and you guys each have your own voice. Some of the groove parts I find are kind of similar, but they're totally different in a way. And do you think that's more like because he's what, Mississippi and you're Alabama?
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, I do think I do think that's the case, but I think it's also because we both love JJ Cale as much as we do. You know what I mean? Like he and I, we sound are there are similarities, yes, because of geography, but it's really more what type of music you absorbed when you were getting started. You know what I mean? And so and that has a lot to do with the fact that we're the same age. You know what I mean? So in the way that I remember when Merle Haggard was on the radio, so does Jason. You know what I mean? Like those are my first memories. Like I can remember before kids had car seats, and you know what I mean. Like I could stand up in my dad's pickup truck,
Yeah, I
and
can
and
believe
and Merle Haggard was on the radio. You know what I mean? Like you know, Wish a Buck was still silver. That was on the radio, and so I remember that, and those are my first memories of songs. And so when that's where it comes from first. It's kind of where you start, you know. And he and I started from the same place, but and again, the appreciation of other music. I mean, I think Kale is a great example. You know, Haggard was always our common ground with Jason and I. JJ Kale is probably our next common ground. Like that's the common denominator that he and I have. You know, so which is pretty. I like both of those guys a whole lot.
yeah, yeah, that's cool. And I also say like doing the like hearing country for like the first time so late in life, and like I get like sometimes I'll say something, someone will take it so offensively, and I don't take it to offense because like I didn't grow up like I have like a freedom. I don't have any like memories tied in with the greats and everything, which
Yeah.
is weird, but like I remember getting into like heavy metal and like 80s metal and like Van Halen is my uncle. I remember his room. It was scary. It was like Poison. Open up and say ah with the eyes that glue and
Yeah.
the
Right.
black lights and Eddie
But
from
see,
Iron Maiden.
but I remember that stuff too. You know what I mean? Like I had an uncle those Molly Hatchet records were the thing of nightmares, dude. I mean, like, and it was Molly Hatchet. You know what I mean? Like they're a Southern rock band, you know. But like, man, yeah, that was back when records looked like records and they had album covers and
Yeah,
that was meant to frighten kids, you know. But but that's the thing. I remember that time as well, you know. And so and that's kind of why you kind of get to the point to where like you can't fault somebody for being that way. You know what I mean? If you don't, I mean, you're allowed to not like Merle Haggard. You know, I mean,
yeah,
I've had guys in my band that don't like Prince, and that is so offensive to me. But like, I mean, I mean, they weren't 11 when Purple Rain came out. You know, and I was, and boy, that changed everything for me. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's just kind of where the music hits you when.
yeah. It's I had another crazy uncle that he said, "Can you play any Prince?" I was playing like his barbecue, and I was obsessed with Eddie Van Halen, so I was playing all that, and he was like, "Play some Prince," and I was like, "Who's Prince?" And he made me take all my guitar off, turn my amp off, and he like literally grabbed me and sat me down and put it on. And he said, "He's just like you listen," and just like walked away, and I'm like, "When am I done?" Like okay, all right,
That's hilarious.
Dubs,
But
can you
Prince was a
try?
great but he was a great guitar player too, and that was the thing that was kind of universally appealing to Prince, you know. And that was also the thing that was because I'm you like I started playing guitar before I ever sang a note. That was I mean it's what you get around great guitar players and it really kind of shows you kind of where your caliber is. And so I'm not nearly as great a guitar player as I mean, man, the guy that plays guitar with me, Foxy, he's a beast, man. I mean, he's a beast, you know. And so because I have such a great guitar player in my band, I mean I play my guitar, I play my electric and my acoustic, but it's just I hold down rhythms, you know, because I enjoy that and I get to sing. But you realize how by listening to great guitar players and being great guitar players, you realize how what it takes to be one. And I can appreciate a great guitar player, you know, and that was again just a common thread with Prince and Van Halen and Zach Wild and all kinds of people, just this just ability there, unique ability.
Yeah, that's Zach Wild. One of the first. That's one of the first time I heard Perry Mason, and I had heard Ozzy and Black Sabbath before, but that came out and his guitar tone, it was like Angry Bees. It was like I had heard Hendrix play the fuzz, but not like that. It was just like a destroyed tone, but I loved it. And then that's this when like I sat down, was like, I I totally skipped playing rhythm. I was like, I'm just gonna
Yeah,
play fast notes. And I played like that for a while. I was fast, but I was like terrible. Like just recently, like
yeah,
my guitar playing, it was impressive, but it had no like substance or value. And then I really sat down. I was like, listen, what am I doing? I should know the major scale. You know what I mean? I'm
right.
like, And I was just like, they taught me that, you know, whole, half, whole, half, you know, and I'm like, what am I doing? And I really sat down and really started getting into it. And I was like, man, I wish I would have done that when I was upset. Like when we would have a snow day at school, I'd be so
Hmm.
excited. And I just get on my guitar, play my guitar the entire time. And that's what I did for a while. That's why I always
Yeah,
kind of like joke like I haven't been married before. It's because it's like, you know, why go out when I can just sit and play guitar? And
and
that's
get
what I do.
better. Yeah, I
Like
know.
it, like
Well, the guys like growing up, the guys that were always the best guitar players were ones that were had gotten grounded. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, Dan's a great guitar player, but he was grounded last month, and that's what he did. You know what I mean? So I mean, I know that feeling, and you're right. You kind of it just takes man the dexterity involved with doing it. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing with guys like that. It's one thing to play fast, but it's one thing to play. It's another thing to play fast through distortion, through something that is literally distorted, and it's another thing to do it with clarity. You know what I mean? And so that's the beauty in it. Like it's there's a lot going on in a weird tone, but the notes are still there. That's impressive. And you just I don't know, man. I'm with you. I don't. It's too. I don't have time. I don't have time.
yeah, and I love when people are like, people ask like, what happens when when you're watching someone and they're like they're better on guitar? Like, does that make you mad? I'm like, yeah, it does make me mad
Yeah.
because that means I haven't practiced enough. Mad
You
and like a frustrated with myself, like, but like it's like
never
watching
say
this.
anything to them. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
you
I could
know.
be like, "Man, you pissed me off tonight 'cause you're playing so good."
Oh, they know the look when you're like staring. You got your
Yeah,
arms crossed, you're staring at the
whatever.
finger. You know you're looking at
Yeah,
a
he's
guitar
good. All
player.
right.
Yeah, it's
That's
I I,
funny.
I was just watching. I just went to Elkton Music Hall, and it was the Georgia Thunderbolts, and they came out and they started playing, and I was like, had I seen these guys play, like I used to like hate Telecasters. I didn't want anything to
Ah,
do with them. This dude came out and was playing a Telecaster, and I was like, had I seen this guy before the whole country thing, I would have had 5 of them. He was awesome. And then I walked up closer to the stage because I wanted to take more videos of him,
mm,
and he's wearing a Them Dirty Roses shirt, and
how about that?
I was like, I love this guy. And after they got off stage, I was like, hey man, do you know Andrew? And he goes, oh yeah, dude, we love those guys. And I was like, man, because I was telling him, I'm like, I made like a kind of semi before I went to Mile Zero. I was like, can you guess what artist I would love to have a guitar showdown with? And I explained some of the styles and whatnot. And people were like, yeah, I think one person guessed right. And I remember hanging out with them, and I was like, hey, did you see that post? And I can't remember if he was like, yeah. And I was like, dude, it was you. I was like, it was you. I was like, I would love to just like have you like wipe the floor with me, or
Mm,
we can level. Like I was like, because it's in a healthy context. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Not
right.
like
Yeah, yeah. Just healthy competition. Yeah,
yeah. And I love how those guys play, and it's so cool to go out and just be like, oh man, there's another one out there.
I know.
It's
So, what is your guitar choice if the Telecaster wasn't? What
it.
was your guitar choice?
I have a Jim Root Fender Strat with EMG
Uh,
81s. It
so the
kind of
Strat, your Strat guy.
my Grail is my Epiphone Les Paul Zach Wild, but I took the active pickups. When everything
Interesting.
when I've grown older, I've come to realize like those EMG 81s, they're kind of muddy, and I really when I
Yeah.
started listening to like more precise guitar and music, I really started appreciating like with mixing and producing, like note separation. I really like when
Mm,
notes have their own place. Like what I really liked about hardcore music and what like the Red Dirt is, they're not afraid to strum cowboy chords with distortion, which that's a no-no in like heavy metal. Like
is that right?
you're not supposed to do that because when you're using pickups like that, it it doesn't sound good. But I
Yeah.
got some bare knuckle like hand wound like high output with just better magnets, and it's just really I don't know like when it becomes more of like a listening experience when you can hear
Mm,
the notes, and especially with like a good acoustic, a really good just I don't know. I just really started appreciating that more. But I think my go to definitely is a Strat because I like when you pay a little bit more, you get the compound radius necks, and it's
Mm,
just as comfortable playing at the top to the bottom. It's just really nice to play like that. I just recently made myself poor and bought a Brent Mason because I wanted to play the B bender. That's really try doing the country thing, and that has
yeah,
like a 7.25 neck where like I have big hands, and I really like when it's like a baseball bat cut in half where there's a lot of people like those Ibanez Wizard, but I like,
yeah.
to have, I don't like space because it just makes me sloppier. But
Yeah, well, and that's always going to help your tone. The more wood you got is always going to make your tone better, you know. But um, that's cool though. I have one Strat, and I keep it because if I didn't have it, I'd want a Strat, you know. But like I don't know, I was that was my first guitar, like the Strat bodies. I always loved them the most, you know. But and I
yeah,
went to everything else before I kind of really settled on the telly because I mean it's kind of like a Les Paul. I mean, and to me, ironically, you know, I feel like that the telly and the Les Paul are probably the most symbiotic because out of all the guitars you can get, it's easier to get Telecaster tone out of a Les Paul than it is to get it out of a Strat, and vice versa. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's strange how they're like that because but yeah, I mean I was always into Strats too. I mean it's pretty versatile, you know. It's
yeah,
difficult for me to play just because kind of where the positioning is, but like um yeah, they sound cool.
yeah. And it's funny. Like I stopped playing Les Pauls because the arch made me play with my wrist, and I
Yeah,
started getting really bad tendonitis. And once was able to like lay my hand flat, it was a lot more comfortable to play. And
interesting.
with the Strat, it's funny is I got sent a video of are people playing these Strats really just cosplaying SRV? And that's like like the brown
Yeah.
Stratocaster with the Texas specials, and I'm like, man, that was like my next guitar. Now I'm like,
I mean, I had one, dude. I had exactly that. I had an American Standard three tone sunburst with Texas special in it. I mean, that was it. I mean, that's what every young man should have. You know,
yeah. And
it's
that's
funny.
funny too. Like hearing Stevie Ray Vaughan play on record. I'm not gonna lie. The first time I heard it, when this guy was like, "You gotta listen," he's one of the because I didn't know who he was, and this guy's having like a father son moment with me, and I was
Mm.
like, I can't remember what song it was, but I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. And he just looked at me and he said, "You don't even know what you're talking about."
Yeah,
And I was like,
y-
okay. He's like, go home, find a video. And I wish he had been there when I was watching because it is an entirely different experience. I was
yeah,
like, holy, like,
yeah.
first off,
Well,
you're like, oh, he's white. Like I,
yeah, I know.
I was thinking he was like Albert King.
Right.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh
Because
my God.
I mean, like it's very, very reminiscent of Albert King. And, you know, I was listening to an interview with Brendan O'Brien today, in fact, and he said he was talking about learning Leslie West. And he said, you know, he said, initially when I was young, I learned all these mountain songs because I thought they were easy. He said, but what I was really learning, how did he say it? An economical way to play. And he said, you know, it was like you could play. He said, I was learning how to play between lyrics. And, you know, he said, that's masterful. He said, you know, and that's the thing. That's kind of the thing with Stevie Ray. Like, it wasn't that it was easy. It's just that, you know, like Instep came out and it was on the radio when I was just hearing pentatonic scales, and that, you know, between Stevie Ray Vaughan and between the Allman Brothers, those two bands were like I could clearly hear parts of the pentatonic scale in their solos. And so I said, okay, that's where I'm going to go. There's a frame of reference that I have right there, so I can head that way and start learning these songs. And then you get into their music and you realize Stevie's technique and how thick those strings were, and blah blah blah, and this that and the other. And kind of the same thing with the Allman Brothers. Just like this guitar was what he was playing, and he did it like this, and that's the slide. But that's not even his fingers that are doing that. You know what I mean? So there's all these things that you learn once but that's where it comes from. Just like Brendan O'Brien was saying, you learn them because you start getting into the stuff because you can hear this. There's relativity there, and so you head that direction, and then you realize how masterful they are. But that's when you start getting better. You start
Yeah.
applying it to yourself.
And I just love there's just so much stuff to learn. Like I never knew that Stevie Ray Vaughan played on David Bowie's records.
Yeah, man,
I
that was like a first gig. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I that blew my mind. I'm like, how can I be this big of a fan, this old? And because my mom was a huge David Bowie fan, and I'm like, that's nuts. And but thank God it worked out the way he did, because when that tour bus left, that's when the Texas flood. He was free.
And it's so funny. It's so funny to hear those songs now that you know that. And like it's very obvious. You know what I mean? Like it's like you hear it and it's like, oh, of course, that's Stevie Ray playing that. Yeah. But you would never know. It really is interesting, man.
Yeah, I had to check like Apple when you go on info, just to make sure that it wasn't, because anymore with things online, I'm like, oh
I know you never know, right? That's funny.
yeah. So like, I know we talked before about like artists that shaped your sound,
Mm.
and there were a lot. Is there anybody like newer now that like you're like, man, I really love the element of what they're doing?
I mean, there is. I'm trying to think of somebody right now. I tell myself that I'm supposed to write these things down, so that I will remember to talk about these people. Um, but at the same time, I mean, I still kind of gravitate to the classics. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, and my friends. I mean, I really listen to Brent's music a lot. I listen to Jason's music a lot. And so, but I'm still into Bob Seger, man. I'm still into Steve Earle. In fact, it's man. So you know, I I went through this Steve Earle phase. Well, it started okay. Guitar Town came out. Guitar Town. I was in maybe junior high when Guitar Town came out, and I mean, I was listening to Steve Earle from that until from high school up until Jerusalem, basically. And so I mean, I was really into his music for a long time, and then I just quit listening to it. I got into some other stuff, and I was really into the Crows, and so I quit listening to the whatever I can't remember the specific chronology of it, but and I recently I was thumbing through, was driving home, and I saw that Steve put out, he's got like an acoustic live album out, and it was like just, man, it was Devil's Right Hand, and it was just all these old Steve Earle songs. It's just like memory lane, dude. Just the floodgates open of like, oh, this is when I was really absorbing music. You know what I mean? And so I'm still into that kind of stuff. I still learn from the masters, and so, but I write a lot with Reed Houghton. I think Reed's stuff is great. And so he's doing really well, and I like his style. Um, man, I don't know. I mean, Taylor and them are doing really well, and I think the Strays and those guys are good, but and at the same time, there's no but. I mean, it's cool to. I enjoy listening to that kind of stuff, So I try to stay current on it, but I'm still drawing from the same well that I've always drawn from. I'm still into the stuff that I've always been into.
yeah, that's cool for like, I mean, your hardcore fans or your fans in general. If you were to put out something with like horns and string, like they'd be like, "What? This,
Yeah.
what happened to that
I
album?"
I know, and I've thought about it, because you always think about that kind of thing, because especially when there's moments that you have the ability, but it's again, it just goes back to what I was talking about. Like it's got to serve the song, man. I mean, if we got to a place to where like I wrote a song and we started recording it, and there was just we all felt a gap that only a horn could fill. You know what I mean? Like we get the horns in there. But I haven't done anything yet that's felt like it needed it, you know? And so and doing it with the intention of just doing it, I don't know, it comes across that way to me. You know what I mean? When I hear it, and I'm sure, like I said, I listen to music more critically than the average bear does, and that's a blessing and a curse. But at the same time, I want it to, you know, like I said, I don't care what anybody else does. I don't want to do it until the song deserves it. You know what I mean? Until it needs to be there.
Yeah, and some people that would take discipline. You know what I mean? Because like when you do have as many friends as it's a phone call away. But like you said, if it serves the song, and it's a good way to be, because a lot of the, I hate always saying the Nashville stuff, but the stuff that it's like the one thing, like I never enjoyed Pedal Steel because the songs I had heard, it added nothing other than it washed away the sound of the cymbals. It was just way too
Right.
much reverb, and it was just like, and
Yeah,
it was like,
it can be a really abrasive instrument. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But done well, it's as beautiful as it gets.
yeah. It was I've talked about this so many times, but it was a game changer seeing American Aquarium's guy actually play it, and then you see like Zach from Silverado, where it sounds like shooting stars falling down from the sky. It just
Yeah, man.
really adds some shimmer and some. It keeps the emotion in the song, or the fast pacedness of the big strings and just stuff like that. But there's a lot of like I always say, it's like band in a box.
Hmm.
And what I love about like your music and with like a lot of the stuff I've listened to, the Texas side country and everything's mixed like a rock song, where
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
just not you up front and you got really cool riffs, but you got to like strain your ear. And that's one thing I always didn't like, because there's actually a couple of mainstream country artists that I've heard where their voice, it's a voice, and there's cool riffs in the background, but it's like I can't hear them. It's like I'm done. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I like
And,
music.
right. Exactly. And and that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, there's no point in washing it out. You know what I mean? Like, just and I don't know. There's a method. Everybody's got a plan, but I'm with you. I mean, let me hear it and I'll be the judge of whether I like it or not,
Yeah. What's funny is I was kind of like I chased you for a little bit. I was I know that the Elkton Music Hall got canceled, and then I was in Atlantic City the night before you were playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't notice until the next day. And I told the person, I said, "Hey, do you want to hear something crazy?" I said, "At the Hard Rock, Adam Hood's playing." And they're like, "Oh my God, why didn't we stay?" And I'm like, "Listen, I didn't really know." I said, "I didn't know until," and they were
I
like,
feel like I did you a disservice, man. I let you down. That's the thing. Like, I don't have my geography up there. I don't know what you're close to. I knew about the Elkton thing. I kind of hated that because, like, the funny thing was, like, after that get canceled, I mean, I heard from a bunch of people. It was like, we were coming to see, we were coming to see. And I thought, well, all right, but we'll get back up there. I hope. I mean,
"Yeah,
I spent the entire first half of this year up there, in well, just the entire East Coast, but I was up there with Drake quite a lot, and who Drake's got a great record out right now, I mean, and he's an old friend and somebody that man, I mean, he's got a great record out, but so yeah, I was up in the area enough, and that's kind of the whole, we had a great time up there, and we
yeah,
went up there, and I feel like we were pretty well represented because of the fact that Drake was great and his audience was super, and we just we I feel like we can come back. We just got to do it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my next plan, is to try to find a time and place to get up to the East Coast and where we were. So hopefully we'll be able to be in your area a little bit more now that I am kind of a little bit more aware of where I am and what I'm doing and who I'm close to.
yeah,
I mean, it's funny because, like, New York is I don't even know. I'm, you know what I mean? Like it's almost, I might as well be in like, I don't know. I could be in Seattle or Greece or something like that. You know, it's funny.
Yeah, I I think it was at the Georgia Thunderbolt show. I was like, "Hey, are you the owner?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was wearing your shirt. I was like, "Hey, what happened to Adam Hood show?" And he's like, "Listen," he's like, "We love Adam Hood," and it was one of the guys that had opened up. He goes, "Yeah." He was like, "Adam Hood." They were starting talking about Adam Hood. Blah, 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 blah. I was like, "What happened, show?" You know, and
Well, maybe we'll be able to make it back up. I hope.
yeah, it was funny. They were like, we really don't know. He was like, I don't think he understood that this place kind of fills itself, and I don't think Adam Hood knows that there are a lot of Adam Hood fans. Because because I would have ran like a campaign and just tagged
Yeah.
Elkton, But yeah, it was pretty funny. Like we saw Dylan Wheeler, Treaty Oak, and Co Wetzel at the Hard Rock,
Mm.
and then the algorithm puts it because I was tagging that venue, and I was like, "Oh man, we just missed Adam," and they were like,
Yeah.
"What? Why did we go to that?" I'm like, "Well, I didn't know about it," and they were like, "Well, who did he play with?" I was like, Miranda Lambert," and then it was like, now I was in trouble because Listen, I've only heard a couple Miranda songs, and Adam, I'm pretty sure wrote them. I was like, I don't really know a lot about her, and I was like, listen, just because I know someone doesn't mean like we're
You don't
not
know
getting
everything. That's
we're
right.
not getting ushered in the back. We're not getting dropped off by a limo.
You could have been. You could have been.
Well,
You could have been.
that's like a lot of people are like, yeah, I hope you got good footage from the show. And I'm like, dude, I was all the way back there, and they're like, we told you we'd get you, and I'm like, man, I said I just still haven't got around to like being like, okay, yeah, all right, I'll take. And
Yeah.
because it's like you got to go to the window, and you're like, what are we
There's a lot
doing?
involved. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, but I mean, you've earned the right, man. I mean, you should, it's okay. I think there's certain people that you could probably throw your weight around with and nobody would care.
yeah. And it was funny because they were like, don't feel bad. I'm like, I said I want them to know because like the one time they're like, listen, this venue's really tight. We'd give you a pass, but I'm like, dude, I'm just here for the music.
I know what you mean. There are those moments where like it's sort of, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, same thing. Like, I remember when Brent was on the road with Stapleton, this was when Providence Canyon came out, and I went out to write with him for a couple of days, and security was tight. I mean, Stapleton security was really tight, and so, but it was all, you could tell it was all for good reason, and there were particular reasons why they kept tight security. It was really for safety. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But at the same time, it was like it was tight. Security was tight, and we were like with that. I'm with that guy. Well, that's cool, but be with this guy right here. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. You're
and
in this
so
group.
yeah, exactly. So it's understandable, and better to err on the side of caution, I guess. But it's okay to throw your weight around every now and then.
Yeah, I just like knowing I have a ticket just in case things get lost in
Attaboy.
the sauce.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
I know. I do. I know exactly what you're saying.
when you're
Yeah.
driving and you have to tell the person that drove you, looks looks like we're just playing
I
slots.
thought, I thought we were gonna go, and then we're not gonna go.
Yeah, what I liked
That's
about
funny.
the Hard Rock is you could leave the venue, get away from all the commotion, and actually like use the bathroom without someone tapping you on the back like hurry up. You know.
Yeah, it was wild, man. That place is really interesting. I mean, I'd never been to it before. I mean, it's funny. Like, dude, I'd never been to Atlantic City. I'd never walked the boardwalk.
Really?
So it was, yeah. I mean, 49 years old. I've never done that before. It's nice to have firsts. But
Yeah.
it was cool. So that's the thing. Like, I know to keep my expectations realistic about you know audience, but at the same time, we should be up there playing. I mean, I've been up there enough to where like, I've gotten kind of comfortable in the environment, and I know that there are people that'll come see us. So yeah, we should be playing. Might as well.
Yeah, that's the one like it's hard to tour. It's hard being
Yeah.
down, especially like it'd be easy if musicians didn't have to bring gear because like when I was in like when I was really looking, like Talbot was telling me, like just like, if you live in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, and the big airports there, and you look at how close everything is in the country when you're
Mhm.
at a major hub like that, but then it's like, you know, you got to worry about the TSA snapping your guitar or, you know, what's your drummer going to do? You'd be like, hey, man, see you when you get there in the van. You know, like,
Dude, and it's just it's no fun. It's no fun not having your stuff.
yeah,
I'd rather have my stuff,
yeah,
and and man, I've done it. I've done it enough. I've tried to skin it a thousand ways, and it's sure there are more expensive ways to do it. There are cheaper ways to do it too, but I mean, it all comes out in the wash for the most part. You know what I mean? Like my economical ways of flying as opposed to my economical ways of driving and the pros and cons involved with it. I mean, the expense is almost, you're talking within a few hundreds, you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
it's not that different, but at the end of the day, like it's just wear and tear. It's the wear and tear on everything and just the cost of wear and tear. I mean, that's the thing. And um, I wish, I wish there was a way to bypass it,
yeah,
but there are people that do it, man. I mean, there are people and that's the thing. Like, I've done it. I've done this with kid gloves because of the fact that, I want to be able to do this and be a father. And I want to be able to do this and be a husband, like, and that people do that every day too. However, there are a lot of people that haven't been able to manage and balance that. You know what I mean? Like, and so, and I have to really be careful. I have to really kind of, my steps are baby steps, and so it takes a little bit longer, but I want to be able to say when I take the step to do whatever it is I'm doing next, I want to be able to do it right to where I don't lose. If whether that's what I mean, like, and I'd rather lose money than trust or something like that. But at the same time, you know what I mean? Like, just because you'd rather lose money doesn't mean you want to lose money. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
so, but and it doesn't mean that we don't. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's just like I said. I just because there are other people. I want to be smart about it.
yeah. And like you said, it's definitely like, and there's no handbook for it, you
No.
know, and hopefully you have good communication with your partner because you
Yeah.
can think everything's fine, you're doing everything right, and then just, you know, you come home and never,
I know.
what? You know,
What?
dude,
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I, I'll, this is one of like, I was doing at my work, they were upgrading the software we use, and the people were flying in from California, and they were spending a couple weeks going back, couple weeks going back. And there's this one guy that stayed. He just was like a workaholic, would go back. And I remember the security guard come and say, "Hey, you have a package." And he's like, "Okay, where do I sign for it?" And they're like, "The loading dock." He had just bought a new house with, I guess, the advance with his wife, and he hadn't been home so long. She sent all his belongings on a truck
Oh,
to
Lord.
here. Like he just moved in this house. It was all his stuff. And I remember them handing like the manifest for him to like, and he was like,
This is my stuff.
yeah, his entire life in this. I just remember being like, oh my God. And I'm like, what's he going to do? Like, I just, of course, like now I haven't seen or heard from him, but I'm like, dude, like what? Because there's nowhere to put it. Like, do, technically he's a
What am I gonna
contractor.
do with this stuff?
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
contractor. He doesn't work here. It's
Yeah.
like, do they unload the truck? Like, it was just like, oh my God. And I was like, dude, that is vengeful. But I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like what musicians do, you know? Some of them, you know, they get a little taste of that fame and they get the blinders on, and they can be good people and they don't know until it's weird. I've seen it where they thought everything was fine. And I remember hearing it. You know, they weren't married, but they're like, "Oh, she's cool. She's cool. She's really excited. You know, it'll all be worth it. You know." And then you come home and you're like, you get told you're neglecting your kids, you're doing this, you're selfish, and it's crazy. Just not a lot of people realize that when they're like, "Why don't you come here? How come you didn't stop here?" And it's like, there's more to just the interaction of the fans with you on like a nightly basis from
Yeah.
the backside of what it took to get here. It's like, why do they even put air in trailer tires? It's not like they have suspensions. You know what I mean? Like, why are
I
they not
know. That's
hard,
funny.
super hard rubber? Because they always explode. And like, and I'm like, when
That's
people
funny.
steal trailers, let's just weld it to the thing.
I know, right? I know. There's got to be an easier way to do it.
Yeah.
Well, and you're right though. It's just it's because, man, I mean, the days the days get out from under you fast, and like, it used to be back before Brittany and I got married, it was 10 days was my magic number. You know what I mean? Like if I was gone more than 10 days, I was disconnecting to friends and family, like but now it's like 4. You know what I mean? And so, but that's the thing. I mean, and do they do fine without me? Sure, they do fine without me. But at the same time, like, just because they do fine without me doesn't mean I want them. That's not a reason for me to go, okay, well, cool. You guys are good. See you. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? Like, it's that you kind of don't want them to do fine without you. It's better that they don't. You know what I mean? Like, you need to be needed. And so, there's, yeah, I can't go out for a month, and there are guys that do, there are guys that go out for a month and then they're home for a month. But it's just, I don't know. There's a balance in there somewhere, and sometimes I teeter too much on one side. Sometimes I teeter too much on the other. But oh, we're just trying to make it work.
Yeah. It's it it's an interesting, it's a multifaceted dice. It's-
Yeah, yeah. It's hard. It really is. But it's cool. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Like, it's at least my wife she's in this. You know what I mean? She gets it. And so, granted, do I need to be home? Yeah, sure. I mean, there's no point in wasting time, but an opportunity is an opportunity, and whatever the opportunity may be. If I mean, like, I'm in Nashville right now, I had an opportunity. I mean, I just got home I mean, like, I walked home, I slept in my own bed last night. I got up this morning, I took the kids to school. I came up here. I'm going to go back home. I'm going to come back up here. You know what I mean? Like, it's and so there's a lot of back and forth for me, but and I mean, I say this all the time. Like, if it's I'd rather it be more work on me to be less trouble on my children. You know what I mean? And so, and that's, I just, like I said, I just rather. And do I miss opportunities? Sure, absolutely. I mean, if I made myself available 24/7, I would definitely I would have more opportunities and I would be able to take them. But I would be available 24/7, and that means that I'm available zero to someone. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I can. I mean, I'll, whether my kids want to be around me or not, I want to be around them. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be around them with them yelling at me about not wanting to brush their teeth. That's fine. I don't like it, but it beats the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely get what you're saying. But yeah, we've been talking for an hour. You still you-
Yeah, I'm good. Hang on. I got to plug my phone in though. All right,
all
give me
right.
just a second.
Yeah.
Can I do this? Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Okay. I'm good. I'll stay on until I go off. If I go off, then but I shouldn't go off for a little while. Yeah, let's keep talking.
Okay. So is there like a performance that, like, you may not have noticed, but you played a show and you woke up the next day and, like, your numbers were bigger and your view count, or because I've seen you singing songs with Co now, like,
Yeah.
doing stuff like that, like, really helped, like.
The Miranda stuff has, for sure. Yeah.
Oh
I mean, and that's the thing with her, you know, she's she's uh she's pretty she's been great to me. I
yeah,
mean, she's been great to me. And so yeah, I mean, those numbers have gone up. The Opry stuff, that went pretty well. That was a whole different demographic. but yeah, when I went to see Co, and that happened in Huntsville that time, like uh, his guitar player was saying, he said, "Man, Co doesn't. They don't do that. You know what I mean? Like that's not something that happens. The fact that like there's not someone who gets up and sings with Co every night. You know what I mean? Like it was a pretty special opportunity. And we're fairly well acquainted, but we haven't had that much time. You know what I mean? And I hate that just because that was I mean, it's a pretty awesome thing for him. I mean, it's not easy, man. They got a big thing going on, and to just go, hey, man, just help yourself for just a few minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's really nice. I mean, like I said, they don't have to do that. Riley doesn't have to do that. Muscadine guys, they don't have to do that. Taylor doesn't have to do that. You know, they by no means they're not obligated by any means at all. And so the fact that they do, the fact that any of them does in any way, shape, form, or fashion is a very appreciated kindness to me. It
Yeah.
means a lot to me, and I don't. And that's if I have something that I regret, it's that I regret not being able to properly express my appreciation for those moments that someone out of their respect for me shares their stage with me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's something to be very grateful for. And I hope one day soon, sometime, that the people that have done it will understand that I really, really appreciate that. I really do. Because like I said, sometimes I don't know that I express it. I mean, a thank you is just not enough. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you don't want to, I don't want to send Co-Wetzel flowers. You know what I mean? You know what I
I,
mean? Like,
I get what you're saying, man, because like you say it and they're like, yeah, yeah, no problem, man. And you want to say it again, like, no, man. It reminds me of I don't know why I always keep like referencing like Wayne's World. I've been doing it like the last couple things where the guy goes, "No, I love you," and he goes, "Oh yeah, thank you." He goes, "No, man,
no,
I
man.
love you." And he's like, "No, man, I really love you." And they're like, "Just say thank you," you
Yeah, right. See, it gets weird after a minute. It's like, yeah, okay, bro. Okay, you're welcome.
know?
And I don't want to feel like that. But no, really. But seriously, though,
Yeah,
I really, really mean it.
yeah,
I mean it. I really appreciate this. Okay. Thanks, Adam. Jeez. You
yeah.
know,
I always feel
it's
like
just
that
funny.
all the time with a lot of things where like I know like not everybody gets to do certain things and I do and I'm just a guy that listens to music on TikTok and I just like thanks guys thanks they're like yeah it's
Yeah.
cool man it's cool you know
But it's a cool preference. So like what you do is really interesting, man. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's, it's an honest perspective on everything that you do. You know what I mean? Like, and like that whole, well, it's obvious. I mean, the proof's in the pudding. It holds water. People. No, I know you're not telling people how to think. You're just giving them your honest opinion about stuff. And man, I mean, it just goes to show you how seldom that happens and how often it should. You know what I mean? Like it. What do you really think about this music? Well, here's what I think about it from someone who doesn't listen to it. This is what I think. And man, I mean, I think it translates, man. I mean, you're killing it.
yeah I it's cool like I'm still finding like songs that I love and I still love that and even like the
Mm,
older ones I just listened to it was like a Little Big Town and it was like one of the first songs I was able. It had like clap, snap kind of tracks, and I was like,
yeah.
oh, they're actually not bothering me
Yeah.
because
Hey, I'm listening to you. Keep talking.
yeah, that like because that's something that just still I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just because like it feels like it's so close to clipping, but that's like but the only thing I really haven't got 100% with the whole country is I do not enjoy the mandolin. I
Interesting.
just
Really?
the probably because it's I always feel like if you're gonna like if you're in a studio and like I don't know if you've been there like when they want you to play and strum all like a window blade just all downstrokes like you played when you were 8 because they want that
Yeah.
consistency
Yeah.
and like but then here comes the mandolin and they're like oh I might play 15 notes here oh I might play 23 it's just it's kind of like all over the place when everything else is just so like mechanical and on
Yeah.
the metronome and they're like they're just not held accountable.
And and there's a science to it, man. And that's the thing, a mandolin is such a high strung instrument. It's there's ears that it's not meant for, but I mean, man, there are guys that are great at it. You know what I mean? Like it's amazing. But dude, there are guys that have mastered the spoons. I mean,
Yeah.
there are guys that have stuck a broomstick in a metal washboard and strung a string to it and have mastered it. You know what I mean? I mean, there's just, this music, man.
Yeah.
It's,
It,
music.
that reminds me of what's his name? Justin Johnson plays like
Yeah.
a little bathtub 3-string guitar. I don't know if he's from Alabama. That's one thing I'm always jealous of. That one I've never been able to play or master, or I would not feel comfortable doing it, is slide guitar. But
Yeah.
I would love to be able to do that.
It's a whole technique. I know. I feel the same way you do. And like, the funny thing is, like, I feel like you either kind of get it or you don't, because like it's not really, you the approach it's not the same, and so like, and I've I've been able to kind of tap into the understanding of it, and so like I can see that there's a freedom there, but you just can't you can't get good at it until you do it in front of people. You know what I mean? Like it has to be just there's mechanics to it that just have to be nailed down, and when it's done poorly, it's really bad. You know what I mean? Like it's like bad slide is really bad slide. Bad fiddle playing is, where you got to kind of like find notes when you kind of got to get to there instead of knowing where it is. Like, you have, here is your spot between your frets. That's where you play. And this is, you play it like this. This is what happens. Like, it's not like that playing slide, and so, yeah, when it's bad, it's bad. And I've just never made it great.
Yeah, yeah. I've always always been bad.
It's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. That's one thing. Like, it's fun. I have a slide right in front of me, and I'm like, I don't even look at it right now.
Yeah, but it's got to be liberating, man. And that's the thing. Like I was always afraid of it because of the fact that I felt like it always had to be in an open tuning. But like I know plenty of guys that Warren Haynes plays in regular tuning. I think Trucks plays in regular tuning. Charlie Starr plays in regular tuning. I mean, that's three great slide players. I mean, probably some of the best. And I mean, they don't they don't do anything different than you would do any other way. It's a feel and a technique and stuff like that. They just kind of nailed it. But I think they just aren't scared to go there either.
Yeah, I think I probably, if I sat down and forced myself, it might be semi terrible.
Yeah,
But
same way as learning scales. You know what I mean? Like, you could work your way up to. Takes a long time to get mediocre at something. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah, definitely. So if you weren't doing music, what career path do you think you would have took? Do you know?
That's a good question. I don't know because that's the thing. Like I never had ambitions to be a writer. You know what I mean? Like I never wanted to do that. I mean, my parents were pretty normal people. My father was a forester. My mother, she was a realtor until I got out of high school, and then she owned a flower shop. You know what I mean? Like this, you're talking about normal people. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I was a land surveyor, so I worked outside. I mean, that was a fun job when I was in high school. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just I've always done this. I've always done this. I'd never, I didn't really study anything in college that wasn't kind of music related. And when it quit being music related, I quit. So I don't know. This is what I've always wanted to do. But that's the thing. I mean, I wonder if I don't know. I would think to myself that there were ways to sort of be in this world without being an artist, but I don't know that I could even do that. You know what I mean? Like, because I wouldn't know how to manage somebody. The only way I've learned how to manage anybody is managing myself. You know what I mean? And that's I don't know. I haven't always been very great at that.
So do you have a manager, or did you
Yeah, I
just?
do. Oh yeah. I mean, that's I have I have a manager, I have an agent, I have my wife, and then we just have have people that help us with social media and stuff like that. So different people kind of do different things, but at the end of the day, I have to answer for it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's it's. I mean, I don't want to say it's not my decision necessarily, but at the end, it's my ultimate responsibility. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Yeah.
we've got a few people with us.
If something happens, the first two words is Adam Hood. So
Absolutely, I know. Yeah, what happened here exactly? And so but at the same time, I mean, there's well, like we were talking about, the industry has changed so much and so quickly, and I mean, it's just gone a million different directions, and so um, I don't. I kind of leave certain things up to the pros and their expertise about some things. You know what I mean? Like there's things I don't have an understanding about, and it's nice to be able to work with or call or sit down, have coffee with someone that does know that kind of stuff.
yeah, and it leaves you available for more time to do what you want to do because that's I just do this TikTok thing and the podcast, and it's just like it's very time consuming. This is like editing,
Yeah.
and like people are like, "Well, all you do is just sit down and you know listen to the song and talk about it." I'm like, but that's me on the comments. I'm doing the clips and everything. I was like, but then at the end, like when I think about it, I was like, if I had somebody help me, I'd probably end up being, I'll just do it myself anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, that's I feel the same way you do about stuff. I mean, there are times when it would, of course, do I, do I want to, be writing instead of doing comments sometimes, but at the same time, like, who else would do it? I mean,
Yeah,
uh, and also, I kind of get to this point to where, like, I realize through comments, like, I start to see names and faces. You know what I mean? And like I'll see someone that's responded or that's kind of frequently commented on a few things, and then I'll notice that person's at my show in Birmingham or whatever it is. You know what I mean? And that's how relationships are developed. And I mean, I don't know. It's kind of cool. It's nice to sort of get to know people. You know?
yeah, and it's amazing how that just kind of happens on its own. Like I have people come up that we've done going back and forth and comment threads and everything, and you kind of feel like you're already friends. It's really cool how like it
I know,
shakes off the,
right?
the awkwardness of like
And eventually you see them face to face and it's not so weird. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah,
like you've had conversations. Now there are some times when I will have had conversations with people on a number of occasions, and then they show up and they're like, "Don't you remember me? We talked on the thing." And I was like, "Oh, now I do." You know what I mean? Like I didn't recognize you because
yeah,
I didn't never seen your face in real life before. So you know what I mean? But for the most part, that's where relationships kind of start.
yeah. It's like what I tell people. I'm like, man, if your face isn't on your album cover, I have absolutely no idea who you are. And
Yeah, right. Where else are you going to see it? I know, I know. And I mean, that's kind of why I had one or two that was like that, and that I kind of learned that the hard way. It was like I don't know what you look like. You know what I mean? It's like, well, here I am, and so we stopped doing that. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So I don't know. Funny.
yeah, it's like at Taylor's show, I was talking to somebody, and I'd said something, and he looked at me, and I was like, "You're in you're in Whitey Morgan's band, aren't you?" And he goes, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh my god!" And then I told him, I was like, "Listen," I was like, I don't think he knew who I was or anything. I was like, he played the harmonica, and I was like, the first time I saw Whitey Morgan, I saw him up there with the harmonica, and I was like,
Mm.
what's he gonna do all show? You know what I mean? Like a lot of times, like they don't play hardly at all. They have their moments, and they stop, and then they just kind of stand there. It's kind of like I don't know if you remember the live video "I Alone" where the drummer just had his sticks and he was running around like hugging the guy because everybody else had their instruments, but they didn't have drums. I just remember that, and I'm like, what's this guy gonna do? And he played the harmonica pretty much the entire time in a way I've never seen it played before, playing like percussive and really added like another layer of percussion to it, and then going in and adding rhythmic or just to the rhythm and to the melody. I was like, dude, this is great because like I have harmonica. I never really you know, you either play a harmonica song or you play a harmonica solo or you do a couple of little, just in, out, in, out in the songs in between words. But this dude really like shined. I was like, dang, you definitely earned your payroll and a spot on a bunk on the bus.
Yes, there's an art form to it, man, and there aren't very many of them, but the ones that are good are very impressive, man. I mean, I remember, like, of course, there's always Mickey Raphael. Everybody knows. I mean, think about it. That's all Mickey Raphael's ever done. But everybody knows who Mickey Raphael is. You know what I'm saying? And then I remember Travis Tritt had a harmonica player with him, and I mean, it was always in his band. And I thought, that's man, yeah. I mean, it's not really anything you can search out, but if you find one, you ought to put him in your band. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
when done well, it's a really cool instrument. It really is. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you though. I have a couple, and I mean, I, I play enough to be pretty mediocre at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just like how they're all in a key. So if you're
Yeah,
playing,
right.
you're playing in the
It is what
key,
it is.
it's
Yeah.
not, it may not be good, but it's not going to be terrible. It's not going to make people go, ugh, but they'll just be like, ooh, that wasn't tasteful.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
But yeah,
that's funny.
there's been some cool moments with getting that. It's funny. There's like now there's a lot of like my favorite bands that put out records now, and I haven't felt the need to even like listen to them. I got to the point where I was like, man, I was getting tired of like getting yelled at. You know what I mean? And now that I work and do stuff, like I used to love to read. Like every year, I used to love reading. I have pretty much all of Hunter S. Thompson's books, and
Oh yeah,
I loved reading them. I love how he wrote, and it's just people don't write like that. Because one,
yeah.
how he wasn't served restraining orders, like just for his letters. Like what is it, the Proud Highway? It was just like him writing. Like if he didn't like an article or something, he would just send like these abusive letters of just, but they were so honest and they were so well written. And I loved the honesty and like the bravery of like, once you put it in that box, you can't get it out. You know what I mean? Like
No, that's
once
right.
that brandy buzz wears off, you're like, oh my God, I made a mistake. but,
I know.
but
And you
now
learn to
like,
be unapologetic about it. Yeah.
yeah. And like now, like it was just saying, like how many songs do I have to hear about like, like with the death metal, like just all that doom and gloom and everything. But now I can listen to like the Red Dirt, your music, or something, and get like substance and a story and something out of it that you can
Yeah.
just sit and listen to it and think about it and like be in your head with it. And and like it doesn't even have to be like a cool guitar part anymore. You know what I mean? It comes from like the penmanship, the literature, and just the meaning behind the song. And sometimes like these songs have hooks where you're like, oh, is that this? And did he mean that? And then you can like dissect the song. And that's probably something that like being older, just being more appreciative than that, than hearing like a 13 million note solo and blast beats and you know.
And dude, I just can't accept I can't accept music and I can't embrace music that won't make me feel that way.
Yeah.
I can try, I can learn to appreciate other people's effort, and that's fine. I can respect. Listen. I understand the struggle. The struggle's real. I can appreciate your methods. I can do all that stuff. But like, I'm with you, man. I've felt it before, and I won't settle for anything less. And I won't settle for anything less out of myself, man. I want to be able to feel it. I want to be able to, you know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to play the songs and emote the same feelings that happened when I wrote it. And if there's no feelings when I write it, I don't want to write it. And if there's no feelings when I play it, I don't want to play it. And I mean, and that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
This, and I realize that in some people's attitude, it's an elitist attitude. In some people's attitude, it's an overprivileged attitude. But to me, it is what it is. You know what I mean? It's this is the area that I can't compromise. You know what I mean? This is the when we're talking about this right here, I just don't want to be swayed on that. You know what I mean? Like, I understand. Yes, I understand that cover songs are important. I understand that, like, that this is an important thing to do, that that's an important thing to do, and that you need to do this, and this needs to be your intention, and whatever the scenario may be, whatever, someone will always have an opinion that I should be doing something that I'm not doing. However, the reason why I do what I do is strictly because of that. It's the fact that like there have been times in my life when the song sunk in, buddy. You know what I mean? And like I just don't I know how that feels, and it's taken a lot of trial and effort and energy and doing things the hard way and screwing up to find a way to create that for myself and for whoever it is that's listening. If it's four people, if it's no one, if it's 4,000, I don't care. Whatever the number is irrelevant. But to be able to just create it for myself and give it to the world, that's I don't want to settle for anything less, And so I do whatever I need to do in order to keep it happening. But I try to not do whatever I need to not do to make that happen too. You know what I mean? Because that's the most important thing in the world to me when it comes to this right here. You know what I mean? Like being able to sort of recreate that feeling for myself and hopefully for somebody else. There's just something invaluable to it. And if you've never heard a song like that before, then if people that never felt music like that, they don't understand my take on it, and that's okay. But it's different, it's deeper, and
Yeah.
I want it to be deeper.
Yeah. Like I always like when you're listening to a song and in your imagination, you're watching the music video, whether there be one or not. Like you're making it yourself, just seeing moving pictures of
Yes.
characters.
Where the lyrics can put the pictures in your head. That's
Yeah.
right. When you're painting the picture, when you're making the movie, and it's the 3 minutes of time that you man, trust me, man, I see those things in my head too. You know what I mean? And I just would I like it that way. I like hearing it that way. And so if I can make it that way, then I would like to.
Yeah. It's working.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I hope it stays that way.
Yeah. I always say like I would definitely if someone was to ask me like well, who's an artist you can put on and make everybody happy in the room, and I would definitely say Adam Hood would
Man,
definitely
thank
be.
you. That's high esteem, dude. I really appreciate you saying so. You know, that means
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah, because like when we would have car rides and we would everybody would get a song, and when it would come to me, everyone would just roll their eyes because there's they
Here we go.
in the late '80s, every Metallica song was like 12 minutes long. They were like, "Oh, we're gonna
Yeah.
get there before the song's over." But then I learned to like make everybody happy, and
Hmm.
it would definitely be Adam. It would definitely be your music of we can all listen to this. We can all like it, and it's just consistently good. There's
Yeah.
no like experimentation or like whoa what just happened. It's just like you said, like what you're going for, and
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
yeah,
That's really cool. Thank you.
it's definitely that sound that it's I could just see older people and young people, even if they haven't heard it yet, just appreciating that
Yeah.
sound.
Well, I appreciate it because I want it to be, it has roots, you know what I mean? And so it has like a vintage kind of feel to it, but like, I don't want to be old, I mean, I want it to be unique and I want to be able to create the things that I like and it still be something that not just old people like too, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
nothing, I mean, I am an old person, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you want, I don't know. I want to reach as many people as I can.
yeah. I like that term, vintage modern. Like
Right? Yeah.
keep the old, but keep it on the up and up.
Fresh perspective of it. Yeah, exactly. A fresh take on a classic sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I'm gonna hit the road if
All
that's
right.
okay with you.
Yeah,
I
dude.
sure I sure enjoyed it.
Yeah, I,
Again,
I I love talking to you. I hope to catch you at a show, and see you because I still have yet to see you live.
you're kidding.
I've I didn't get to see you live, dude. I was not prepared for Mile Zero. Like I I needed the like you are here map at the mall.
Yeah,
And it was
man.
just like, man, this is really very overwhelming. Great festival,
Yeah.
great to be able to talk to the artist, and Key West is expensive. The Mile Zero, for what you're paying for, is an incredible value. But
Yeah, because
if you,
you're gonna it is gonna cost like it's a vacation. You know what I
yeah,
mean? But
yeah,
it's also like you said, it's a pretty unique experience, especially if you like music. If you're into what's going on down there, that's about as neat of an experience as you can get because everybody's around, and you can hang out and buy drinks for anybody you want to,
yeah, yeah, definitely. But yeah, I've never seen you play live.
We got to change that, dude.
I know, I know. That's why I feel like I've been chasing you. That's why I was like, "Where's the
Well,
owner?"
I'll get back up to you sometime and make it where the chase will be a little bit easier. So,
All right, cool. Well, you have safe travels, and
thank you.
is there anything you're working on?
No. And it's funny you say that because that's kind of I not to open up a whole nother can of worms, but like we're still I don't know what to do yet. You know what I mean? Like I've still got singles and so I've still got songs that I can put out that are kind of um continuations of the Bad Days Better stuff. I've recorded other songs down there in Capricorn with Brent, and so I've got other stuff to put out. But like, I mean, we don't have big plans for. I've got some plans for an album, but like, it's a lot of risk to make an album these days because
Yeah,
everybody's listening to singles, and they want singles, and so we're just trying to. I think we're trying to come up with a strategy. You know what I mean? And so sure I have plans, but like putting rubber to road on some stuff, we're not quite there yet. So, but the first of next year, I think by mile zero, I'll have some things in place and we'll be able to sort of, you know, put some, get some focused energy on a couple of projects, which will be good.
yeah, cool. Look forward to them.
Yeah. I'll keep you posted.
All right, good.
All
Thank you. But yeah,
right.
thanks. Always a pleasure talking to you, Adam.
Yeah, likewise, Pat. Thank you so much for having me, dude. I appreciate everything you do, man. You're killing it.
Yeah, yeah, you as well. You keep doing what makes you great, man.
Thanks, man. You too.
Yep. Safe travels on the
All right,
road as
brother.
well. Mhm.
We'll see you.
Yep. See ya.